Welcome back. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard cleaning out the rot in the intel community, and there's plenty to clean. Gutting her workforce by nearly 40%, saving taxpayers $700 million. Think about how much money that is in just those agencies. Eliminating vast portions of a politicized bureaucracy, rooting out deep state actors. The kind of cleansing you wanted when you voted last November. Gabbard stating the intelligence community is plagued with unauthorized leaks, politicization, and weaponization of intelligence. We certainly know that in the DNI. Gabbard joins us tonight. And it's good to have you back on. Let's talk about the cuts and just how ugly these agencies are and how you did this. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. You know, I started here. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence, as you know, was created almost 20 years ago in the wake of the horrific intelligence failures that surrounded the Islamist terrorist attack on 9/11 here in our country. So the ODNI was created with a very simple purpose, a very simple but critical mission, which was to ensure that intelligence from across the intelligence community was actually being integrated, that people were talking to each other and sharing intelligence, not leaving it in silos, and to exercise oversight to make sure that the intelligence being provided to the President of the United States, to Congress, to different policymakers was timely, relevant, and apolitical. Unbiased and objective intelligence to best inform some of the most critical decisions that the leaders in our country make, foremost among them the President of the United States and Commander-in-Chief. 20 years later, here we sit now where ODNI has more than doubled in size, bloated with bureaucracy, inefficiencies and redundancies, wasting taxpayer dollars, but actually getting in the way of the mission that it was charged to do. As you mentioned, it's become rife with politicization and weaponization of intelligence, some of which we've revealed and released over the last few weeks that has occurred under previous directors and previous administrations. And so rooting out those deep state actors who are violating the oath that every intelligence professional swears to the Constitution of the United States and ultimately undermining this core national security mission that those at ODNI are charged with, that the intelligence community is charged with. So today's announcement is the first step to aggressively get after our core national security mission, root out those deep state actors, and really focus on delivering what the American people deserve.
When did this all get broken? Was it under Obama? I mean, do you have any estimation of when this all started to fail? And when did politics seep into something like intelligence, which is just so toxic?
Well, you know, I think when we go back 20 years ago, when this organization was first stood up, ultimately it made some progress in integrating intelligence. But the reality is, as we've just revealed over these last few weeks, under the Obama administration, which came very quickly, we saw that deep hand of politicization within this organization, ODNI, but also in CIA and the FBI, across the NSA, across the intelligence community, which tells us very clearly what I think most of us already knew, which was politicization of intelligence existed long before, and we've seen a lot of different examples of that.
And the 37 that you've stripped of security clearances, these current and former intelligence officials are a part of that problem.
That's right.
These are not household names. When I looked through the list, I didn't really recognize any of the names, you know, maybe one or two I had seen before, but they're not people that you would know. Who exactly are they, and what did they do to earn that, to earn the stripping of that clearance?
Yeah, well, you know, holding a security clearance, it really speaks about trust. Trust in those who have a security clearance, that they will protect our nation's secrets and that they will abide by the Constitution and act in the best interests of the American people. Those who were on that list that we released yesterday, where I directed, at President Trump's direction, the revocation of their security clearances, came about because they broke that trust. A number of different examples, people who leaked, conducted unauthorized leaks of intelligence to their friends in the propaganda media, those who participated in this Russiagate hoax, the manufactured intelligence assessment that came after President Trump was elected in 2016, that
Russia
went on
wanted
to
Trump.
Exactly. Creating a document that they knew was false, falsely claiming that Putin wanted to help get Trump elected, when really the intelligence in the months leading up to the election said exactly the opposite. So bottom line is, these individuals, and there are more, unfortunately chose to put their own self-interest, their own personal ambition, their own political interests ahead of the oath that they took to the Constitution and taking action to serve the best interests of the American people.
Yeah. I want to get to one thing. There's been a pretty good freedom fight that you've been a part of, and I think it's a great story because I'm terrified of what's happening in the United Kingdom. They're moving away from a lot of freedoms, and here's an example. The UK is now dropping its demand to access Apple's protected data of American citizens. Yourself and the Vice President J.D. Vance fought this. They wanted Apple to create a way for their government, the UK government, to retrieve content of any user worldwide uploaded to its cloud service. Again, this is another way to get eyes on everybody, which is exactly what governments want to do, and it's one of the biggest threats, I think, to our personal freedoms. But talk about that.
Yeah, Rob, you know, one of the ways that, unfortunately, too often our civil liberties are undermined by governments is in the name of safety or security. Well, we have to keep you safe, and so we're going to start to peel away and take away your freedoms and undermine your civil liberties. And this is one example of that. I got notice of this shortly after taking on this position as Director of National Intelligence, and was deeply disturbed by this demand that was being made of Apple, an American company, to create this backdoor for the UK government to gain access to end-to-end encrypted personal information that you or I or others upload into Apple's cloud without any permission from the user who owns that information, and doing all of this in the name of safety and security. So this was an issue I informed President Trump about immediately, as well as the Vice President. I know they both raised this with Prime Minister Starmer during his visit to Washington, D.C. It's one that I continue to work with and engage on with our partners in the UK, and thankfully they came to the right conclusion, which was to drop this demand of Apple, ensuring, therefore, at least in this example, that our privacy and our civil liberties is protected when we have our own private information in the cloud. The UK and no other government at this point is able to build in this backdoor to be able to access it.
That's great. Yeah, that's important stuff. Now we just have to get them to come back to free speech. Watching people get arrested for offending people in the UK.
We have to stay vigilant.
Yeah, it's really scary. Hopefully the president can lean on Keir Starmer a little bit more on that one, because those videos are terrifying. Seeing people just arrest, they said something offensive and they get arrested. Like, what world are we in?
Online. They put up a post on social media and people are getting arrested.
And they seem oblivious to what that can lead to. The DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Great to see you.